Okay, here I'm going to show you what's going on in my basement and in the mechanical room right here. If I open the door, you can see that I have a couple of worm bins for my vermi-composting, and I have one black one over here, you can see, with some stuff in there. And then I have another kind of rust-colored one over here. And I just recently did a video about how this winter, within the past couple of months, I've harvested all of these 5-gallon buckets full of worm compost. So I've got, that makes 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 gallons and another couple back there, so about 27 gallons worth of worm compost. So my system is going really well with one bin over here, another bin over there, and another bin right up there on the countertop. And normally what I try to do is to balance out how much food I'm putting in any given place. And you can see, I usually have these trays, from whatever on my kitchen counter, and as I have fruits, peels, and melon rinds and various things, I toss them in there, or any salad stuff, greens that went bad in the fridge or anything, just toss them in here. And then when I come down, I'll usually I'll feed the worms in the top tray on these two worm bins down here, and I'll also usually be feeding one side or the other of the long one that I have up there, the homemade one. And usually that does pretty well. However, recently, earlier this week, I had a couple of these trays just full of a lot of vegetable and greens and scraps and things, that I put them all in this one because I had just recently filled up the top row on these other trays with stuff. So I kind of was, I guess, probably in a rush getting to work or whatever. So I opened up this tray and I threw a bunch in and covered it up with some partially composted leaves, and that was how I left things. And basically in this video I'm telling you the lesson I have learned, because when I came over to my homemade tray here, which is one of those things, I guess you would put sweaters under your bed or something for storage, that was being thrown out that I salvaged. But I've been using it down here for making worm compost, and I never did get around to putting holes in the top to ventilate it, and I totally overfed it recently, and when I came over to it, I may have to pause the video for a moment here because I'm going to open up the lid.
So here you can see now what's going on inside the worm bin here. It's this plastic one, the homemade one, up on the shelf. And look here at the, I've taken the lid off and put it off to the side. But look at the thousands of worms up around the edge, almost like they're trying to make an escape, some kind of mass exodus here. And, I think I just had overfed them and it got kind of funny smelling. And look at all these worms all the way around the edge. And I had the lid on top, and just around the edge would be that one spot where they could get some fresh air away from the funky smell that is in here for the first time. Normally I do not have any real significant smell at all from the worm bins, but I think I overfed this one, and particularly this bin. A few got out here just as I opened this. I'll put those back in a minute when I'm done taping. And I think just this non-ventilated bin was the source of that funky smell, methane or who knows what. But look at the meatiness of these worms. I'm going to pick up a few. They're really kind of sticky and slimy, but normally I never get to see them in this way because they're always in amongst the compost and the stuff, so you see a little tail of one or a slimy side of another, but I never really get a sense that of the thousands that are in here. This little guy is hanging on for dear life. Don't worry. I'll save you. Anyway, so I've been meaning to get around to putting some holes in the lid and ventilating it, and obviously that's something now that I definitely need to get done. And meanwhile, I'll put these worms back in the bin. I'll get some good air, or I'll spread these worms out to some of the other bins, and poke some, drill some holes in the lid to give some air to this particular bin. And I'll be more careful in the future about not overfeeding one bin at a time. The reason I have 3 bins is to avoid overfeeding, because we generate a lot of kitchen scraps and such. So that's about it. Here's another bunch of worms. I'm putting them on in. That's all.